How have you been, Peter?
Good, I think. Let me pause for a second and not entirely try to do this multitasking. Good. Oh yeah, I can share this with you guys because it's something. It's something I'll be able to share publicly pretty soon. But tomorrow night at a church annual kind of members meeting at our church is when I will be kind of like introduced as a provisional elder for our church,
Oh,
and that
wow.
period lasts for 1 year. And assuming that there's nothing during that year that leads me or the current elders to think that this isn't a good fit, then I'll be in, and in until 65 is how that's intended to work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's as the senior pastor told me, it's when you're thinking about this commitment, it's kind of like getting married. I mean, you're in. If you're in, then you're really in. So that's been a lot of processing I've been doing since mid-October, but it's been good. We had the first monthly elders meeting last Monday, and I'm very much at a stage right now where I'm just asking questions and then being a fly on the wall. I'm not presuming to kind of bring my viewpoint and ideas into the table yet. Although at some point, they I know want me to do that when I feel ready, so that because that's part of figuring out, am I a good fit with this group, and
Yeah.
So anyway.
Is how many elders do you have already for your church?
Let me see. We're on the low side right now. We have. Okay, I got to visualize the table that we were sitting at. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and then there's a couple that weren't there. Maybe. I think there's now 8 plus me. And we just had 2 age out. Their last meeting was in December, and one of them was my longtime study mentor,
Oh,
Dave
yes,
Lindstrom.
yes, yes.
So he just aged out of the elder board, and then it wasn't long ago that 1 or 2 others aged out, and so really in the last 3 to 4 years, there's been a significant reduction in numbers. So it's a smaller kind of which doesn't concern them. In fact, they're actually thinking about what could be the advantages during this season of having a smaller board, and so it's but it's interesting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like we have about 4 or 5 elders
Okay.
at my church, something like that.
Yep.
We've probably got closer to your number, Peter. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know exactly how many we have, but yeah, I guess around 9 would be pretty close. 8 or 9 would be pretty close.
Okay, yeah. And 2 of them are also pastors. One is the senior pastor, and one is what's called the executive pastor. Oh, I'm about to die. Which is also something I'm looking forward to being on the elder board for.
Fine.
Yeah, that was a really rough segue, but I mean, I've been thinking, in the lead up to this, how, I mean, you guys know that I've been for the last 5+ years processing mortality in different ways to different degrees, and man, to head into the second half of my life where I'll be processing that more and more, where my body will just continue to kind of wind down more and more as time passes, to be going through that with a group of guys that are just really solid believers, and many of them older and wiser in the faith than me. I mean, I see that selfishly as like a huge blessing for me, So, yeah. I'm looking
That's
forward
awesome.
to, the leadership aspect, I mean, I'm glad that it will involve shouldering that burden together, because making the decisions that they have to make and dealing with hard situations that people are angry and upset about, I mean, you kind of when you're in that position of leadership in the church, you kind of naturally get a lot of blame, but I'm grateful that it's a burden that they shoulder together, and so I'm definitely feeling pretty sober about that side of things, and just the responsibility of making the decisions that the Holy Spirit wants for our church, and trying to suss out what that is as best we can, and still not knowing at the end of the day for sure sometimes when you make those calls, and just having to be ready to apologize, and yeah, just it's gonna be interesting, but I think that it'll be good for me, and hopefully I will be of benefit to the church in serving in that role.
Something that I don't know why this came to me, Pear. So, but I'm curious. So I know you said Dave Lindstrom. That was your mentor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you find did he approach you to be a mentee, or did you approach him? And I'm curious, if other people approach you to mentor them or anything like that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I approached him, and I have had people over the years at various times ask if they could meet with me to just kind of get counsel on various things that they're struggling with and dealing with. But none of those really were formal mentor-mentee relationships. I think that's a fairly unusual thing, unfortunately, for guys my age to go out and ask someone, I recognize you have more spiritual maturity than I do. Will you please mentor me? Because it kind of takes a bit of a confession.
And I don't have it all together.
And submission too, to say that I'm gonna, I want you to mentor me. I'm gonna submit to your wisdom, and so I definitely sought out Dave, and man, I didn't realize at the time, I guess, just in retrospect, I think back, man, he was so giving of his time. I mean, we knew each other. He'd been supportive of me in the worship ministry when I was the worship pastor, but to really enter into that kind of relationship and then to stick with it, for, I don't know what it ended up being, 15 years about. It was really something.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's so awesome that you got to have that, and I feel like I think you asked us to, if we are ever impacted by your ministry, to say a thank you to him, and so I think that is totally warranted, because I think if someone's like giving of their time so much, and giving you their wisdom and trying to help you to live a more God-honoring life, that definitely not rubs off on you. It starts with an I. It improves you, influences you.
Oh, there
it's
you go.
Influence you. Yeah. So, and I don't know where I was going with that, but
I think being on this elder board is going to be similar. Like, I think that, you guys are going to get a better pater because of whatever I go through, whatever I learn, or whatever I'm stretched by. You guys are going to benefit from that. I think the content will benefit from that, and then hopefully in turn individuals like you guys will be able to gain something maybe deeper from it that I just can't offer right now, because I'm not in the place where I think I will be. I just think it's going to be an opportunity for real growth for me. So Maybe but maybe first it'll just be a lot of my very sad, being sad about this is hard. I don't know. We'll see.
It's good for you.
All right. Well, I am. That's 20 minutes, so I'm going to be done with this game for now. But that was a nice trip down memory lane. For anybody who watches the archive, I was playing as Artemis Entreri, which is a bonus character. He is the arch nemesis of Drizzt Duwarden, who is, of course, the dark elf guy that is super popular in the Forgotten Realms series of novels by R.A. Salvatore. Wow, I can't believe I remembered all those names just now. That
is impressive.
Well done.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say also it was impressive. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.